What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the October 18th, 2021 edition of Raw Talk. Before we go further with that, one quick cheap plug, or a couple of cheap plugs here. We got new interviews going up pretty much every single day this week. Yesterday, did we have one go up yesterday? I don't remember. We had Roman Reigns a couple of days ago. I know that. We had Roman Reigns a couple of days ago. We had Elliot Taylor, the man behind the music for Bryan Danielson and AEW. Great conversation there. We have today Carmelo Hayes, the new NXT North American champion. Awesome convo. I've been a longtime fan of his from the indie scene, so it was great catching up with him here on the channel. I actually interviewed him for the first time 5 years ago, and he remembered it too, so check out our conversation here on the channel. That went up earlier. We got tomorrow Sasha Banks, who's going to be contending for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Crown Jewel on Thursday. So Sasha Banks back here on the channel for the first time in about a year. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll very likely be putting up my interviews that I've been conducting over the last couple of weeks with people that are going to be at the Wrestling Classic this Sunday here in Connecticut, Hartford specifically, including Dangerous Danny Davis, Terry Runnels, and others, so check those out. And the next Monday here on the channel, I don't think I've announced this anywhere yet, but my exclusive interview with Jeff Jarrett, JEFFJARRETT, WWE Hall of Famer, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Great guy. We did a Zoom interview over the video, obviously over video, on Monday. So that should be up next Monday. So a lot of interviews and a lot of other content. That's in addition to all the, Crown Jewel thoughts, SmackDown audio reviews, Raw Talk reviews, Talking Smack reviews, the podcast excerpts, Q&A videos, and everything else going up here on the channel every single day. So if you're not already subscribed, if you're not already hitting that bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up, what the hell are you waiting for? Do it right now. So let's get into Raw Talk. As always, being hosted by Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp, recapping what was kind of a mixed bag Raw. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. It's Raw at the end of the day. So if you don't watch Raw, if you don't give a fuck about Raw Talk is like less than 30 minutes. This episode was like probably closer to 20, 25 minutes. One of the shorter episodes in recent memory. So it does kind of give you a feel for what's going on the show without cementing, or rather, relegating yourself to sitting down for 3 hours and watching the entire thing. But they recap Xavier Woods beating Jinder Mahal in the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament. A very pleasantly surprising outcome from those two last night. I was very happy to see that, and I'm so happy that Woods is moving on to the next round of the King of the Ring. So we saw that. They recapped that whole match, and Matt Camp even says that he hopes that Xavier Woods wins. That's kind of like his sentimental favorite because he knows how badly Woods wants to become King of the Ring, how long he has wanted this. So hopefully he does. I'm not holding my breath, but it is cool that he even made it to the finals on Thursday at Crown Jewel. He even referenced the Xavier Woods tweet as well. Xavier had tweeted something about, how much this means to him and how it's all kind of led to this and whatever. So that was really cool that he referenced that here on the show. But Balor has been the MVP up to this point, and he is all business, so it's going to be a very interesting match, and even from an in-ring standpoint, a very exciting match come Crown Jewel on Thursday. We hear from Finn Balor backstage at Raw being interviewed by Kevin Patrick, and Balor says that for the first time in about 2.5 years, it doesn't say that specifically, I'm putting that in there, but for the first time in a few years, he's back on Raw. He's excited to be back on Monday nights. I'm not sure who would be excited to be part of the Red Brand, but nonetheless, he says that Xavier Woods does all of his talking outside of the ring. He does his talking, rather, inside of the ring. And Finn Balor wants to honor Stone Cold Steve Austin by becoming the next King of the Ring and kind of not following in his footsteps, but taking that win and taking his career to that next level. The biggest difference between Stone Cold when he won it 25 years ago and Balor, if he were to win it on Thursday, Stone Cold was not established at that point. Obviously, he had success in ECW and WCW, but in WWE, he wasn't really overly established. Balor has been here in the company for 7 years, on the main roster, on and off for 5, former world champion, IC champion, NXT champion, so it's not exactly, I don't think, going to take him to that next level. If anything, it would hopefully wash away the awful taste that was left in the mouths of a lot of people coming out of Extreme Rules when the Demon lost to Roman Reigns in the main event of that pay-per-view. So, if anything, I don't think a King of the Ring win would take him back to the main event scene on Raw right away. It might. You never know. Raw could use some main event star power there. But at the very least, it would allow him to bounce back from that pretty unfortunate loss at Extreme Rules a few weeks ago. Back in the studio, Jackie and Matt Camp recap Shayna Baszler versus Doudrop, with Doudrop winning Yes, Doudrop beat Baszler, albeit via a roll-up, but she still won, advancing to the finals of the Queen's Crown Tournament at Crown Jewel. It's going to be Doudrop against Zelina Vega for the first time ever. And they talk about how they're going to be two very different queens, depending on who's going to win. Vega is obviously very self-centered as a character. Doudrop is very happy-go-lucky, so I'm not overly optimistic about either one of them winning. I really don't care about either one of them winning at this point. I would have rather have seen Shayna win, not do the dumb queen shit, and just move on and be a badass, but we always can't get what we want. We can't have nice things, apparently. We actually hear from Vega again here, because we heard from her on Talking Smack 2 or 3 days ago. We hear from her again backstage at Raw, because she was on the show, watching the match from afar on the stage. She says that she's actually excited to face Doudrop, but she feels like she has the advantage, especially since Doudrop had her match on Monday. Vega hasn't wrestled since Friday's SmackDown, so she has the advantage in that respect. And despite Doudrop getting lucky on Raw this week, she will not get lucky, Vega says, come Thursday at the pay-per-view. And her plan is to become queen, and she will make Doudrop be the first one to kiss the ring. She sounds like fucking Cody Rhodes when she says that. I mean, I'm sure it was the thing far beyond Cody, but Cody was doing that whole thing when, I don't know where it came from, but he was doing that in Ring of Honor when he won the Ring of Honor World Championship, and he was wearing this gaudy ring, and he was saying, oh, people will kiss the ring or whatever. That's what it reminds me of. I know that wasn't WWE. People will probably forget about that. Maybe it was a gimmick elsewhere, or some sort of superhero character did it. I don't know, but that's what it reminded me of. Back in the studio, Jackie and Matt recapping Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair. Great match. Awful fucking ending. Bianca losing, or rather winning by DQ, but not the Raw Women's Championship. You devote a half an hour to this shit, and you don't even give us a clean finish? I mean, come on, man. I mean, we've gotten a lot of distraction finishes lately. It does protect both women. But then don't do the match, or don't do it for the Raw Women's Championship. That's the thing. I felt cheated by the end of that match. I'm like, what the fuck was this? We've had distraction finishes with almost every women's match in the main event of this show for weeks now. Completely ridiculous. They also recap Big E and Drew McIntyre beating, again, the duo of Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Matt Cam says that Big E versus Drew is going to be one of the strongest matches, I guess from an in-ring standpoint, because it's pretty fucking predictable, at Crown Jewel. And he also references big meaty men slapping meat. So Matt Camp loves to get that in there any chance that he gets, and hopefully will live up to the hype as far as that is concerned. We hear from Drew McIntyre again, and it was funny. I was watching Raw Talk, as I usually do with Alexis, and she goes, why is Drew always on the show? And I say that all the time here in my reviews. Drew was on the show literally if not every week, every other week. The good thing about him moving to SmackDown is that he's not going to be on Raw Talk every other week. The unfortunate part of that is he's probably going to be on Talking Smack every other week. So I guess I got to get used to it over there. And I love Drew, don't get me wrong, but how much can you really get out of the guy? Like, he says the same stuff every fucking time. But he does make a joke about how, one of the biggest, questions here in WWE all the time is, can they coexist? So he's playing off of the fans' frustrations here. That we've seen this story before. It's not interesting. We see the same shit every week with these two, and just in general, the whole coexist bullshit. But they did manage to coexist on this show and beat the duo of Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, as I mentioned earlier. He doesn't know what would happen. I think Kevin Patrick asks him, what would happen if you take the WWE Championship to SmackDown? He truthfully has no fucking clue. He goes, I don't know what would happen if I take the championship to SmackDown. I don't know if it would become SmackDown exclusive, if they would swap the titles, if Roman would have to go to Raw, if I have to, split my time between Raw and SmackDown. He has no idea. As none of us do, and it doesn't even matter because he's not going to win. He's not going to win on Thursday, so it doesn't even matter. But Kevin kind of brings up the fact that this is his last Raw talk, and he's going to be missed on the Raw roster. And what has the Raw show meant to you over the last couple of years? And Drew says that the last 3 years of him, being on Raw since April of 2018 have been the best of his life. And he's looking forward to SmackDown, but he will miss representing Raw. And then he and I think Kevin brings up, it's actually like a 21-hour flight. And then Drew's like, I got to get out of here and get ready. So that was funny. I'm going to miss the interactions between Drew and Kevin because they're both from, that same area, roughly. I think Kevin is I think he's Irish and Drew is Scottish, but still, not exactly the same. Kevin also won't have Sheamus to feed off of anymore, but he will have Finn, so there is that. Nonetheless, though, we have back in the studio Jackie and Matt running down the card for Crown Jewel on Thursday, as they did with Talking Smack on Saturday. And that was about it for this episode of Raw Talk. So, decent stuff. Drew was fine. The Zelina Vega stuff was fine. I think she would make for a better queen than Doudrop, but truthfully, either way, I just don't really care. Really should have been Shayna, but maybe she dodged the bullet by not holding the dumb crown and the scepter and all that other dumb bullshit, but whatever. And then Balor was good too. So solid stuff. And like I said earlier, if you don't want to watch Raw in its entirety, and who would want to if you don't have to, and you want to just kind of get caught up on the big stuff, check out either Main Event that has the highlights from the show in their entirety, or check out Raw Talk. The analysis from Camp and Redmond isn't exactly enthralling. I don't watch it for the analysis. I watch it for the interviews, and the interviews are a lot shorter now than they were than during the Thunderdome pandemic era when they were just amazing. But nonetheless, though, you could catch up. You could catch up with Raw Talk to kind of see what you missed from the show, see the highlights, who won what, see the interviews and whatever. So it's kind of like a condensed version of Raw in less than 30 minutes. So I can't complain. Although the original format was a lot better. Nonetheless, guys, thank you for checking out my review of Raw Talk for October 18th, almost said 19th, that's today's date, for 2021. I appreciate you guys. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content, and hit the bell button as well to be notified every time a new video goes up. Like I said earlier, new interviews almost every single day coming up this week. We got the new NXT North American Champion Carmelo Hayes right now live on the channel, talking about his title win and so much more. We got the SmackDown Superstar, potentially the next SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, coming back here to the channel for an awesome exclusive interview tomorrow, talking all about Crown Jewel. More interviews in the days after that with Dangerous Danny Davis, Terry Runnels, Brian Clark, a.k.a. Adam Bomb, coming here to the channel, and also the man that organized the Wrestling Classic coming here on Sunday to Connecticut. And then next Monday, Double J himself, WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett. A lot of interviews, a lot of cool stuff going on right now, guys. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. And if you are, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for that support. Have an awesome one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.